this video is going to be about the Schwabisch. It's an approved knot in the ISA tree climber exam. So today we're going to talk about all the ins and outs of it. All right, let's get to it. Here we have the Schwabisch, and I have it on a 8mm 30-inch HRC cord. So with this hitch, you can also tie it with a lesser length friction cord, but because this is a 30, I'm going to use 5 wraps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wraps. That's how many wraps you would use for me. I mean, I would use on a 30-inch cord. It's a real simple hitch to tie. Basically, you have the 5 wraps, and then it captures itself and it goes through itself. It's a real fair knot to use. So if I use a 24-inch cord, and the reason I want to show this on a 30 is because when I use a 24, I would use less amounts of wraps, but with a 24, this friction hitch would always bind on me on both directions. So if I move upward, it's really tough for me to advance, and to pull and to descend, it was really tight. But I do find that with a 30-inch cord, it's really close, not as fast as say like a VT, but it's it really maneuvers a lot more fluid. So once you get it tied, there's just a little bit more setback. You see how you lift this? So when you're using it, when you lift and you start advancing, the pulley will hit and break it. And then when you sit back, it usually never would slip on you. So that's a little bit about the Schwabisch. Let's get into the tying of it. I've already tied my termination knot, and it's a double fisherman's. I'll mention that all the knots that we'll be tying will be linked in the description below, so have a look. So I'll connect this to myself, and and this is the MRS system. So this is the side that I'm gonna use to tie my friction hitch. Now for myself, I always like to use gravity. So I'll start this one behind the line with my friction cord, and then I'm going to do 4 wraps downward. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Now here's the 4th. Now my other one, the one from the top, I'll bring down, and I'll bring it in the same direction as the top one, and I'll finish it in that way. And we want to have the legs about the same length. Okay, I'll tie, dress, and set it. So this is what it looks like in the front, and here's the back. You can see that the top goes over and captures both the top and the bottom leg. Next, what I'll do is I'll grab my my pulley, connect it to the rope, grab my carabiner, and I'll connect it through the eye of the cord, back into the pulley, and the other eye. Once I do that, I always rotate, because for me it's a lot easier to connect to my saddle post. Now I'll do a real quick test, raise up a little, put a little pressure. Now I'll connect it to my saddle and put a little bit of tension on it. Make sure that it's not going to run. Put my feet on the trunk. Now I know that it's not going to run, and I've tied it correctly. So you can see that if you pull the top of it, it will release. And now when I'm going to go up, I would pull the top of the line and tin from the bottom, and that helps to advance your hitch. There you go. So that's why I like to tie it from the top to the bottom. I know a lot of people like to tie from the bottom going up, so I'll show an example of that next. So now I'll tie it going in the upward direction. So instead of putting my friction cord behind the line, what I'll do is I'll place it in front, and I'll get the length that I think I'll need for my leg, and now I'll start wrapping upward. Now I'll do 4 wraps up. So there's 1, there's 2, 3. Now here's the 4th. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Oh, here's the 4th. Okay, now that I've got those 4 wraps, now with this leg, I'm going to cross over and I'll go back around and come back through in the same direction as the top one I started in, and I'll pull it. Now I gotta manipulate the rest of it. Yeah, you could see that this is not my normal way of tying. We want this leg to go higher, and I'll pull this one through. Yeah, now that I have the legs equal, I'll bring it back up. Now, tie it, dress it, put a little bit of weight on it. Now I'll do the same thing where I'll get the pulley connected to the rope, connect the pulley on, grab the carabiner, go through the eyelet, becket and eye, connect it on. Now I'll rotate it. All right, let's see, make sure it holds. I'm gonna bring this and connect it to my saddle. And now what I'll do is I'll go up just a little bit, make sure that it's gonna hold for me. Throw my gloves on because it makes it a bit easier. All right, make sure it holds. All right, it's gonna hold. Now I'll go up a couple of feet. 10 from the bottom, and now rest, and it's holding in place. So what I was mentioning the last time was, or about this hitch, is when I use a short cord, it really sticks in both directions, going up and coming down. But on a longer cord, it actually moves a lot more free. So it always worked better for me with a long cord. The only thing for me, I don't really like the longer cords because then my hitch is a little bit higher than I normally like to have it. Well, there you go, the Schwabisch. Well, here you go, the Schwabisch. It's a real even knot to use. I can't tell you that it's one of my favorites. It is one of the approved knots that you can use on the ISA tree climber exam. And it is pretty, it is a pretty solid hitch to use. Now, like I mentioned, for me, I do like it better with a longer cord and 5 wraps. Every time I've used it with a shorter cord, with 4 wraps, it didn't really work as well for me. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment, like, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you like what we do. Take care. We'll see you next time.